Yeah, I'm going to go over your midterm preview. Remember that to do this correctly, you should have done the entirety of this on your own first, and now you're coming back to see how you did. Not because I care particularly, if you see it as you go, but we wanted you to simulate what it would be like if you took the midterm. Your answers are going to be different in a couple places here, mostly on this one right here, because where you place your not chord tone would be not always the same. But I'm going to start with the list right here and go through them and try and find the earliest spot possible in a place that makes sense for me, and I'll try and talk about it as I go along. First one is add a passing tone. So passing tones occur usually between two notes that are a third apart, although there are exceptions to that, and I'll explain what I mean by that. So obviously, like right here would be a great passing tone, right? Change that to a quarter note and right there like that, okay? One thing you have to check when you make a non-chord tone is that you have a new interval right here and right there. So you got to make sure that you didn't make parallel fifths or parallel octaves. Since this makes a fifth right here, we just have to make sure that that's not also a fifth right there, and it's not. You could have also gone here. That would have been another good place for a passing note. Would connect those two. Now, if you have no places that are like a third apart, I mean, there could be another one right there, etc. You can also make a chromatic passing tone. So I could have gone and put like an F sharp right there and made a chromatic passing tone. Anyhow, put that there, put P for passing tone, right? Next one is neighbor tone. Neighbor tones occur where you have a note and a repeat of the note because it steps away and steps back. Repeated notes here, here, here are good candidates as long as you're not making other problems, right? Like for instance, can I make one that's a problem here? Maybe not, but for instance, if this is a sixth to a fourth, and that's fine there. If I made a neighbor tone that went like, well, I'll put it above actually, like that right there, step up, step down, and I had also done something so that I arrived another fifth right here, then I could have had parallel fifths or something, like the D to the A, if the next note was right there. So I have to watch out that when I make these chord tones that I haven't created something new again. But that would be fine there for a neighbor tone. That would have been fine to do right there as well. You could put a neighbor tone right there, right? Just like that, neighbor tone, okay? Next one says suspension. That's the place where a note is held over and then steps down. There are less of those. Are there any? Well, there's one right there, right? See how it steps down like that? Does the alto ever step down? It does right there as well. So these are the two places where you can put suspensions. I'm just going to put it on top. What that means is that this note is held over to there, and then this has to be moved over, right? And then wherever I do it, I have to mark the point of suspension right there. This is a ninth, and then this is an octave right there. If I did a double suspension and I held this B over right there, like that, then this would be a 4, and then a 3, 4-3 suspension, okay? Sometimes in the past, people have put the note right there and then gone over. That doesn't work because it's still part of the chord. It has to be pushed over, become a non-chord tone, and then step down, okay? Retardation is the opposite of a suspension. It has to step up. There's a lot of places for that. This could be a place you've done it right there. That could be a place where it's happened as well. I guess there's two places for it. Let's just put one right here, okay? So I'd push this note over into there, and then like that. You don't have to put a tie. The textbook just does that to show visually. When you have a bass suspension, melodic bass suspension, then there is nothing to measure below. You measure to the next note up. So if I did it right here, same thing for retardation, which this is, then I'd put a 4-3 retardation, right? That's a suspension right there. Escape tones are ones that step and then skip away, usually in the opposite direction. It's nice when there's a skip, right? Because you step in the opposite direction of the skip and then skip down. So for instance, here you could step up to here and then skip down to there, right? Here's another place where there's a skip. You could have stepped up to there and skipped down. Here's another skip. You could have stepped up and skipped down. Same thing here, step down and skip up, right? You could step down and skip up. They have to be not the same note, basically, right? I'm just gonna keep moving in this direction. I'm just gonna put this right here, like that. There's my escape tone, right? Okay, and then Poggiotura is where you leap or skip and then step. And it's sort of the same thing in opposite of the escape tone. This is an escape tone in that direction. It's an Poggiotura. So we just find another place where there's a separation of notes, like here. Just pretend we don't have a chromatic passing tone right there like that. So I could step up or skip up like that and then step down. You can, you just have to make sure that the note that you choose to go to, like this right here, is not part of this pre-existing chord already, right? Like that's, I think, the biggest failing that people have is that they pick a note and it looks like an Poggiotura, but they've actually just gone up a third in the chord, right? So yeah, I think that's probably the biggest problem. Here's a good example of that. If you'd put your Poggiotura right here, like that, well, that's not actually a non-chord tone. It looks like an Poggiotura, skip up, step down, right? But it's the same note as right there, so that can't count. Kind of making a mess of this, but I hope you can kind of see all these things. Last thing is an anticipation. You just have to precede, have to have a non-chord tone that is an early reveal of the chord tone coming up. Doing this here is no good because you're already on this note in the chord, right? Has to be a place where, you know, that you don't have the note in the chord. Usually anticipations, well, usually many times they happen at cadences. I'm just going to throw one right here, right there. So I'm going to place my F like that. F is not in this chord, right? So it's an anticipation of that note, and then it relieves by normal step right there. Yours will be in different places, but if you understood what you did and everything I did here makes sense to you, then you're in good shape. Okay, neighbor group, how do you define it? Well, we talked about that in class. I think you could draw me a picture. You know, you could say like it's this and it's that right there. You could say like upper and lower neighbor tone, no middle resolve note. Or you could do the thing where it's like an escape tone and an Poggiotura, right? Something like that. Pedal point. Again, you could define it as, you know, note holds, right? As chords change. You know, eventually becomes a chord tone again because the chords change back. You could also draw one, right? So it's entered by the same note and left by the same note. That's another way you could do that right there. All right, errors. We defined a bunch of these things. I'm going to do them what I think is the easiest way to do them. The first one is to look for spacing error because I don't even have to read notes. I just have to look through and go octave, octave, third, unison, fourth. That's bigger right there. The place that they normally hide and are hard to see are right here, but I can go fourth, right? Fourth, fifth, fifth, right? And this is a sixth. That's another fifth right there, and that's a third. It's clearly right here, right? Okay, so that's good. All right. Direct octaves is probably the next easiest one because it only happens when the soprano skips into an octave with the bass and moving in a similar direction. So I'm just going to scan for skips right here. Here is a skip right here, okay? And the arriving interval is a fifth, and it's moving in the opposite direction, so that can't be it. So I think it's got to be right here, right? Because I don't have any other candidates. Skips in, moves in similar direction, and also into the same note. So this is an octave right there, and I moved in similar direction, and the soprano skipped. That's number 6 right there. Okay. Now it gets a little more difficult, but I think I'm going to go look for unequal fifths. So unequal fifths are a problem when you have a diminished fifth that doesn't resolve to a sixth or a third. It resolves to another, like a perfect fifth. Kind of looks like parallel perfect fifths, but the first one is diminished. The problem is that if one of those notes is in the bass It's just really acutely, it just, you can tell that it didn't resolve properly. There's only two places where I'm going to have a diminished chord, well, or sorry, a diminished interval. One is between T and Fa here, and one is between Re and La right here, right? They both have diminished notes in them. This one between the third and seventh, and this one between the root and the fifth, right? The root is not in the bass here, neither is the fifth. Can't be this one, right? Well, it's the third, right? So it's not part of the diminished fifth. So it's got to be here, right? Between T and Fa. There's T, right? And there's Fa, right there. I'm in the key of B, right? It's B, so this will be an F sharp, A sharp, C sharp, and E. There's T and there's Fa. This is in the bass. They move up what looks like parallel fifths, but this is a diminished fifth, and this is a perfect fifth right here, like that. So I have a diminished fifth going to a perfect fifth, and one of the notes is in the bass. So that is unequal fifths right there, number 4, like that. Now you can just sort of pick and choose. You could do spelling error, you could do doubling error, you can do consecutive fifths. You may have spelled all the chords and check them out. I'm just going to go along as we see right here. So first off, I'm going to, as I get to each chord, I'm just going to spell them. This should be an F sharp, A sharp, C sharp, and E. F sharp, A sharp, C sharp, and E. They're all there. Okay, so that's not a problem. We already found this problem right here. I'm not going to look for every error possible right now. I'm just going to go and do spelling. Right? Here's my my one chord. It's got a B, an F sharp, and an F sharp. That's kind of a spelling error, isn't it? Kinda. It's got no third. That would be a doubling error. Well, incorrect. No, it's incomplete chord. Honestly, this is not the error I was planning on, but in order to make this error happen, I made this as well. This is going to sound wrong, and if you said this is my spelling error or doubling error, I would give it to you because it should have a third in it, right? So it's incompletely spelled, and it doesn't sound right either. The real mistake is coming up, but I'll get to that in a minute. My 2 chord right here is C sharp, half diminished, so it's going to be C sharp, E, G sharp, and B. It's all right there. It seems okay, right? This one right here is my 5 chord. It's going to be an F sharp, A sharp, A sharp, C sharp. Now, hopefully you recognize, although it's spelled correctly, that's a doubling error because we don't double T right there. So I'm going to call that right there 3, right? Maybe that's 3. If you caught that, that's probably fine. It's a bonus mistake I didn't see. Okay. We're running out of chords to spell incorrectly, so this will be interesting. I mean, it's got to be one of these two, right? So B chord, 1 chord is B, D, F sharp, A. B, D, F sharp, or no A, sorry, B, D, F sharp. This is not part of the chord right there, right? So there's my wrong note right there. It's not spelled correctly. It should be B, D sharp, F sharp. We have a bonus note right there. So that's a spelling error right there. And then consecutive fifths. Well, now we have to go back through and scan the parts. Okay. No doubled note here. Probably not going to have a parallel fifth. Okay. Here, I do have roots and fifths, don't I? Right? I've got roots and fifths. That's all I've got. So it could be this pair. It could be this pair. It could be that pair. It could be this pair right there. So what we're looking for here is, does this pair right here go to a fifth? And the answer is no, it goes to a seventh. Does this pair right here go to a fifth? And E and B is in fact a fifth. So there's 2 fifths right there. That's my consecutive fifths. Because I have a perfect fifth right there and a perfect fifth right there. And if I didn't find it, I have to check this one and that one, right? Then I have to check this one and that one. If you think that this is a parallel fifth, that's not quite correct because this is a perfect fifth, but this is a diminished fifth right there because this is C sharp and G natural. This is B and F sharp right there. So that's perfect fifth and diminished fifth, so we're okay. There it is right there. Okay. moving on. All right, these guys right here. Apparently in class, finding out what key you're in is the issue. I'm gonna let you in on a secret. They're all minor, I think, because I wanted you to practice. Really, it doesn't matter what this is. We just have to say, what's this chord here? And then if that's 5, what's the key we're in? Although it's going to match up with the key signature. So here I have a D, F sharp, A, C, right? The D7, if that's 5, 7, that means I'm in the key of G or G minor, and that fits this key signature right there, just like that, okay? Plus this is, standard looking there. Now it says resolve strictly. So root, I'm going to a 1 chord right here. So root to root, go to my G. You could have gone up, doesn't matter. Okay, and then here's my prince and princess. Strict means princess is going there, prince is going there. Here's the queen, she genuflects. Okay, 1 chord. All right, next one right here. Well, again, it doesn't really matter what any of this is. Let's just check this chord out right here. B, B, D sharp, A. Laundry's done. It's missing the F sharp. This is a B chord, B7. It's incomplete, right? But it's still B, D, F sharp, A, right? It's just missing the F sharp, D sharp right there, sorry. So this is 5, 7. And if B is 5, 7, then I'm in the key of E. And this suggests E minor right there, not E major. Okay, so now I'm going to resolve this. Because this is incomplete, everything is going to resolve strictly, except there's no queen to genuflect. It's just going to be the uncle that holds over. So king goes to king, the 1 right here. There's my uncle, he does nothing. Here's the twins, the prince goes down, the princess goes up like that. No queen, drunkle instead, okay? Here we are, this one says free. Again, you can kind of ignore this. Let's just look at this right here. This is a C, right? C sharp, E sharp, G sharp, and B. That's a C sharp 7. That's my 5, 7. And if C sharp is 5, then I'm in the key of F sharp. And this would suggest that, that this is key of F sharp minor because of the key signature, right? Now, because it's free, that means I'm still going to go root to root, right? I'm going to go up this time. This is my 1 chord right here. And that means that the princess right here is going to skip down and run away with the pig farmer. And then my queen is going to genuflect, and my prince is going to step down like that. Okay, last one right here. If I look at this now, this is tricky, and it's kind of supposed to be. This is a D, this is an A, this is a B, and a G. So it's mixed up. This is actually a G7 chord right there after you do it. It's not a D chord. It kind of looks that way, but it's not. Because when you factor these other notes in, G means that we're in the key of C or C, right? And 3 flats suggests C minor. Told you these were all in minor because I wanted you to have more practice. Everybody seems happy to assume major and does their calculations well. We just don't seem to know our minor keys that well, so made it on purpose that way. This is not a 5, 7 because the 5th is in the bass. So that's a 5, 4, 3. That would be a point slip there if you didn't get that. And then when I resolve this, remember there's no king because it's an inverted chord, right? The queen genuflects, right? That's going to put me down on the 1 chord right there. It looks like root position, right? This is the drunkle. He holds over, right? There's the princess when the king's away. She does what she's supposed to do. There's the prince. No, wait. Did I do this wrong? I think I spelled this wrong. My badness. This one probably left you for a loop. I did make a mistake. That should be right there. This should be right there. And if that's the case, then there's the drunkle holding over there and the prince stepping down. Well, I'm going to put an announcement out that that's wrong so you don't go crazy trying to do it on your own. Apologies for that. All right. You're going to get something that looks very similar to this. Okay? No surprise analysis or anything like that. Can you do these sort of mechanical things in a grueling kind of way? All right. There should be an assignment that goes with this that says, did you do your thing? Did you mark your thing? Are you as prepared as you can be, given that for midterm on Monday? All right.